not a bum, then you'd be watching CCP Podcasting.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page, and there I am. Now you can see me. I John Cena'd you for a moment on a Saturday. I almost said Sunday, but I was off yesterday. That's probably why. It's going to be a fun, fantastic day today. We started our day at 8 a.m. this morning with Pro Wrestling Colossus. Had a live watch party. Fun times for sure. Old TK Cooper, friend of the channel, popped in, said hello to everybody. We are back here with our Beyond the Bell, and ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a fun show. Today, my guest is a guy I popped on his show not too long ago and had a blast. It was a fun time, and I said, well, you got to circle around, man. I need to get you on my show. We need to see what's happening and what's going on and all that fun stuff. And a loss, here we are. My man's coming to us from the I Love Wrestling podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to sit down and meet him if you have not done so already, because it's a fun time. My boy, Justin Woolwine in the house, brother. How's it going, man?
I'm excited, ready to go. Like you said, your episode on ILW Pod, one of my favorite conversations, especially the fellow podcaster I've had. So I'm glad to get on you and see if we can do it this way.
Oh, stop it. Flattery will get you everywhere. Welcome, everybody, across all of our platforms. I know that we are live on Twitch. I know we're live on YouTube. And I know that we are live on X. Instagram is being a dick, and I don't think that they're gonna let us go live with this. So if you're trying to tune in on Instagram, you got other platforms to choose from. But we're gonna have a fantastic conversation, brother. It's good to have you in. I know that at least from our first go around, I know a little bit about your platform. But before we get to the platform itself, man, we got to talk about wrestling. We got to talk about your love of wrestling. We got to talk about your fandom. Where does it intersect with you, and where do you get drawn in and get bit by that bug known as professional wrestling?
Are we talking just how did I maybe come across it?
Yeah. So early days as a fan. How did you? Where's your fandom come down?
It's always been there, man. Since I think my earliest memory, I had to maybe 2-3 years old. I was playing with the old Jack specific Titantron figures. And my dad was watching Monday Night Raw. I remember Austin was on the screen. So it had to have been 02 because I wasn't in ring competition. He was wearing the shorts, knee braces. It was Austin in the Bischoff era, I think. And I remember Austin saying he was going to open up a can of whoop ass. The next thing you know, 2-3-year-old me is saying it over and over and over. Sure enough, my dad, he opened one up. Because back in that day, that was allowed. Yeah, he opened one up, and that was my first real memory. And then going through photo albums as a kid, there's pictures of me in diapers doing the Hulkamania poses with the hand over the ear. And I used to love Booker T, and I'd always five time over and over and do the worst spinneroonie of all time. So it's always been there. It's just it's almost been like breathing. It's just something that's been natural for me.
I don't know if you did the worst spinneroonie. You haven't seen mine, so I'm just saying. There's a lot.
Maybe we'll have to do that live.
Listen. There's gonna have to be some kind of contest or something out there. That's gonna have to be the embarrassing. To the victor go the spoil situation. We're gonna have to have a wager on something professional wrestling related, and we'll do something. That if people want to see that. I mean, come on now.
I'm sure they want to. I'm sure they'll watch that.
Big old boy. Shout out to Throwdown with Matt over on YouTube, and I believe you're Mr. Clayton Woolwine. I believe your dad's over on YouTube as well.
Pops.
Welcome to the show, guys. Listen, being drawn in and getting into the scene, you guys are up in Chicago. That is a hotbed, if there ever was one, for professional wrestling. And yeah, I visited Chicago. I've been to a couple of events in Chicago, and I can tell you just from my experience, the crowd's just different. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different beast. So for you, what's the scene like when you were coming up and as you were getting into the fandom of professional wrestling, maybe on the indie scene or in the big leagues?
But it's really cool because for the first part of my childhood, I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, actually. So a lot of my like live event experience was at IWA East Coast, which at the time was ran by Madman Pondo. So I grew up into like when I'd go watch independent wrestling, seeing Pondo or Too Tough Tony. I saw Necro Butcher a lot. Ian Rotten, New Jack. Like, and then they bring in your stars. Like I saw Billy Gunn as a kid, Sandman. Um, I'm blanking on a couple names. Billy Gunn. Um, and then every once in a while, like I remember going to SmackDown tapings and Raw tapings as a kid. I don't know if there's necessarily tapings. They might have been like the live event shows at the Charleston Civic Center. And I think the coolest experience as a kid going in West Virginia, I went to TNA in either '09 or 2010, right when Hogan was joining. So like I don't even think he made his first appearance yet, but they were starting to put out the Hulkamania TNA merch and stuff like that. And that was really cool because we go in. Before we go in, I met Kurt Angle, which was so cool at the time. And then later that night, like my dad bought a VIP pass, and I guess the person that he bought it off of already used it. And so, like, at first we thought we got ripped off, but we came across Earl Hebner. And Earl kind of scooped me up and was like, look, this is a shame. And I got to meet a bunch of the boys in the back, take a picture with Jeff Jarrett in the ring. So, like, that was one that always stands out really, really, like, fondly. And then moving up here, all my, like, uh, events or things like through growing up were all WWE events. Like I went to SmackDown, I want to say once in 2012, once in 2016, and then the latest time was when Jacob Fatu debuted. So I've been to SmackDown 3 times, all at the Allstate. No, 2 times at the Allstate and 2 times at the BMO Harris Bank Center in Rockford. And then I've been to the United Center and I saw Brock at the United Center. It was his first time in the United Center in years. Um, and then I was at Takeover Chicago. That's probably my favorite like live event experience. It was my first pay per view technically, and that was where Tyler Bate fought Pete Dunne.
Oh,
The DIY turn where Ciampa turned on Gargano.
oh,
Um, the Velveteen Dream, I think that was his first like pay per view match. That was phenomenal. Bobby Roode versus Kenta, or at the time Hideo Itami, which I think is super underrated, especially on that card. Just to name like, so I've had some good experiences, and then as far as the indie stuff, I didn't really go to indie wrestling in Chicago until actually a year ago this month. Kind of when I started the podcast, I started interviewing guys in the area, and then they invited me to some shows. And since then, I've every month I've at least been to one show for an indie in Chicago and all the way out to like Michigan and Cleveland. Like I've made my ways throughout the independents this last year, and this probably marks the biggest like I've probably been to the most events this year than any other year in my life.
well, over in chat, your pop says bring on Spinner any contest, number one. And Goth over in the Netherlands, it's one of my co-hosts. Going back to that NXT show, that show was amazing. He screamed that at me, by the way, with all capital letters. Goth, you don't have to yell at me, buddy. My hearing is not gone bad. It's just the vision, bud. Listen, it's a perfect segue because I want to talk about the platform. Obviously, that's a big piece of why you're here and what you have going on. So, eerily similar. Our platform probably we're a little over 2 years old, but independent wise, diving into the indies, we're probably 16 months, 17 months deep. So, roughly, give or take, you start thinking about doing this concept and putting this concept together. How does your channel come about, and who do you get involved with you as you're building it before you get ready to kind of launch this thing?
It's funny because I started ILW Pod on my other YouTube channel, which is now known as ILW Figs, which is all figure related, action figure related content. So I was making stop motions, figure reviews, things like that. And there's a big community for like action figures, especially when it comes to doing like stop motion, or like they refer to it as pig fetting,
Mm-hmm.
just what they call it. So my original idea was to interview other kids or guys who do the pig fed thing, which doesn't work because you can't organize a bunch of teenagers to get together and sit down for an hour and have a conversation. It just doesn't work. And it was actually my pops who was like, why don't you just try to interview indie guys and get them on there and share their stories? And nonetheless, I messaged Madman Pondo and Too Tough Tony and some of those guys that I grew up watching in West Virginia. And next thing you know, snowball effect. We're 170 episodes in.
Excuse me. It's so weird when I say weird, but putting something together, right? Like I can't speak for you on our side of the equation. When the whole platform came together, there was a lot of trial and error. There was a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
what works, what doesn't, what don't work. We tested waters. We figured we had to figure out what worked and what didn't. So when it came to putting together like content for your channel, what kind of stuff did you guys pitch around, and what kind of, not everything is a win. You got to have losses to get to the wins. How many? I'll give you some of my shit ideas if you give me some of yours.
I, as far as ideas go, I don't think so far, honestly, I've had any concepts that haven't worked. At least not that I've found yet. So as we started with the basic just interviews, like, and it was I like there was some weeks I'd record. I think the largest week I recorded like 12 episodes, and that was in a 7 day period. But like when I started, it was just nonstop. Get as many interviews in as possible, and my goal was, because nobody does it. It's damn near impossible. But to do 7 interviews with 7 different independent talent all week was the goal, which you quickly find out that that's not going to work. So I guess as far as shit ideas, that might have been the first one.
Yeah.
Like trying to, it's a lot. I quickly diminished that down to like 3. I think for a while I was producing 3, and then we started doing my dad and me really. It was after I got on the throwdown with Matt that he was doing the live stream version of his podcast. And we got on his platform. We did that way. And I really like the platform, Restream, to do your interviews. So once we did that, I kind of talked to Pops and I was like, hey, I think it'd be beneficial for us to try um, to do live stream watch alongs, whether it's with Raw or Dynamite or, a lot of those uh, bigger name shows, because not everybody's going to buy Peacock, or not everybody's going to buy Netflix, or not everybody's going to buy HBO Max to watch these, but they might get on there and watch us. You got, Denise Salcedo out there doing it. Just as an example. So like it works and it's something people watch. And like at first we wasn't doing them live. We would sit down every Monday and Wednesday with a notepad and a piece of paper, and we'd write down every segment, what we thought of it, and then afterwards we do a review, and the reviews wasn't doing that well. They was doing okay view wise, but I was like, something's missing. Like they're watching our review, but I feel like we could get more. And that's when we transitioned into just doing the live watch alongs and reviewing it as it goes. And that's really now catching traction. I've noticed with lives, it's something that you got to play with.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take off right away. You got to really mess with the algorithm, mess with everything matters, down to title, thumbnail, description, and then even, what's around you, setup. It all matters. And those things, just tweaking those, have been, I guess, the biggest part. And then lately, we've been trying to think of new concepts just to make more content.
Mm-hmm.
Like my little brother, Nasty Nate, I have him on the live streams with us, and he does fantasy booking, where me and him will sit down, we'll think of a concept. Like he just did Chris Jericho's return to the WWE, and we'll sit down and we'll break it all down, and then he'll sit down for half an hour and record that video, and then Pops, he's quite the historian. He loves going and looking in wrestling history. So every Sunday we do an episode on this day in wrestling, and he sits down and he goes through all the facts and dates that's happened on tomorrow's November 9th. So he goes through not everything, but like the big key events that have happened on November 9th, and those are new, like, I guess, video ideas we're trying to play with and see if they work, because I've noticed for other people they have worked, especially on your bigger wrestling content channels like What Culture or Wrestle Talk, Parts Fun Known. Like, those concepts really work. So I was like, if the UK guys can do it, there's no reason we can't do it, and we're giving it a go.
No, I like hearing that. First of all, shout out to your pops. I happen to be an old school head myself, so if he's digging into territory stuff, I probably need to check out that show because that's right up my alley. I'm a diehard old head when it comes to professional wrestling. I do want to go over to the chat real quick because Throw Down with Matt is in chat, and going back to NXT, that he missed that era, that the talent and the chemistry among that group was pure magic. Your dad actually said CSW is an excellent fed in Chicago to check out, yes. And I will.
Yep.
Goth, we'll come back to that here in just a second. Holding court didn't really pan out. That's what your pops just said. We'll get to
no.
Go ahead.
We'll touch on that.
No. Go ahead.
So I guess I completely forgot about holding court, and this was one of his ideas. Like, you used to hear all the time that wrestlers, when they would have like a backstage issue,
wrestlers
or problem,
court, baby.
You'd have wrestlers court. They'd be holding court. So we thought of every week getting on and doing a full week's worth of review. We'd hold court and we go over all the topics, and we had like one episode really hit to where like we got like 600 something views, which for those did really good because usually we got maybe 30 views. So we had one that hit like 6, and then that's when we transitioned from doing the holding court into the, hey, let's sit down and watch Raw with the notepad and the pen and paper and review it, and then do it directly after. Because we was finding with doing the holding court segments is by the time you watch, let's say we do it Monday through Sunday, by the time you get to Sunday and you're recording it, all the concepts for the previous week are outdated. There's new news. Yep. Nobody's worried about it. So it just was one of those. I think holding court would have worked if we had did it per like big, newsworthy, item. Like, the Vince thing came out. If we had just immediately dropped everything we did and did held court about it, or there's Will Ospreay gets signed to AEW. Now let's sit down and hold court about it. And we didn't really do that, and I think that's the reason that concept didn't work.
Well, I think, reality is this. I don't think it's a bad concept, and I think that it can work. And I think that, if you play around with it a little bit, that there's something there, and
in the back pocket.
There definitely could be something there, and I think, I find it interesting when I sit down and talk to you, talk to you specifically. Again, our platforms are similar, but they're so different because I don't do WWE, AEW, any of that, because I think that there's a lot of people out there that are already doing it, and I don't want to add to it. So I was like, what could we do that's different? And again, when it comes down to like content creation, it's like podcasting. It's like, anybody can do it and everybody does do it, but what can you do that is a little different? I never saw people watching full shows because WWE doesn't allow you to do that. AEW doesn't allow you to do it. They'll chop you off and chop off your stream, and then you get in trouble with your providers and your platforms, and it becomes real nasty. And just like, it's to me, it's like, it's wild. So what I mean by that is like, I can watch a WWE match, I can stream it. We'll just use like an old WrestleMania 3. I can stream WrestleMania 3 on Twitch, no problem. No issue. No nothing. I try to put that content on YouTube where it came from. You get blocked. That's what I mean by like you can't do anything with it. So there's stuff that we do that's exclusive to the channel if we're doing WWE related stuff or odds and ends, even if it's a an old watch along from like NWA stuff. But the indies didn't give us that. They welcomed it. They said, "Go right ahead. Oh, you're gonna put our stuff in front of more people? Yes, please." So that was kind of like, there's where we can dive in. We can find our mark right here because it's not something that people are doing. Of course, we're watching 2 and 3 hour shows, but at the end of the day, it's growing content, and I think that pivoting back around and circling back around to what you guys have going on, because 2024, you're a little over a year old. You're going into 2 years old, right? When did you guys officially form as the IWL Pod?
So ILW Pod came together September of 24. So we're just over a year
over
old.
a year.
So it's about a year and 2 months. Yeah, a year, 2 months, year and 3 months.
Oh, brother, you just get
I
started.
think my first episode came out September 19th.
That's a couple days before my birthday.
First episode.
Yeah, it's a couple days before my birthday.
It's 2 days after Pops'.
Oh, yeah? I see your dad and I are kindred spirits. I don't even know the man. We're already kindred. So you're a little over a year, and in that time frame, we did discuss a little bit about like growing pains on the episode that I did with you. So I want to like flip that question around, because you are just a year deep. Have you had any kind of growing pains or anything that you kind of had to work through or shift through? Well, tell me some of those stories. What have you learned and grown from?
So, I think the biggest thing for me is I kind of dove into this head first. And this is my fault. I didn't really do a lot of research about it. I didn't look into it. I just kind of was like, give me a camera, give me a microphone, give me a guy on the other end, we'll figure it out. And so, like, the problems came once I started getting in touch with a bunch of people, and then you hear opinions. And people are like, you can't do this, and this is taboo, and you got to stay away from this area, or maybe don't talk to these people, or don't, you know what I mean? Don't connect with the wrong people. And that's, I think, where the problems lied at the beginning, was just listening to everybody and not ourselves. And once I started listening to the audience and my gut, that's when things started shifting. And then, funny enough, everything I was told not to do when I first started doing it, once I started doing a version of that, is when things really took over. Because everything I was told not to do was like stuff that gives the audience my genuine personality or my genuine beliefs about wrestling. It was just always stay journalistic, neutral, but that's not what fans want. Fans don't want just a guy reading facts at you. They want, like, most people want to know our opinions, like, and that's why they watch. And they want to know your guest's opinion. That's why they watch. They don't want a watered down version of that. So I think that's been the biggest thing. And then another thing is, I noticed a lot of your top podcasts or a lot of your top interviewers, they always go for the hot dirt sheet, headline scoop all the time. And it's on all like the major platforms. I'm not going to name names because that's not who I am, but they know who they are. And so my biggest thing is always just to do the exact opposite. Keep everything as positive as possible and for the love of wrestling. Because I can't have the I Love Wrestling podcast and get on there and be negative and shoot a bunch of stuff down. Now, like, don't get me wrong, when we're watching Dynamite, we might get on there in a live stream where it's a little more laid back and lax and maybe critique some things. Maybe I don't like to see the same, 8 people in a tag team match every week. So I'm going to say something. Or maybe I don't believe in what Wheeler Yuta is doing on AEW. So maybe I might voice that. But now if I get Wheeler Yuta on, we're going to have a good, honest, open, positive interview about his career. So it's just been able to kind of counterbalance all that, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. Like, I think, you and I had previously discussed, like, I don't do negativity. Like, at all.
It's replacing for it.
And from a fan's perspective, like I don't like, so, back in the day, When we first started, we were watching a lot of old school NWA wrestling, and I'm not a historian, and I never professed to be, but you would get people that would come in and comment and try to be like smartasses on your on the content. And I was just like, if you don't like it, don't fucking watch it. How hard is that? How complicated is it to? I don't like that. Let me go ahead and change that channel, or let me go ahead and just oh wait, there's something I do like. I'm gonna watch that right there for a few minutes. It's not hard at all. It's really not. And that's kind of the downside. And it kind of bothers me a little bit when you talk about listening to the wrong people, or them telling you not to do this or not to do that. What I tell all of my guys, and I think every one of them will attest to this, I tell them to just be themselves. People can see through fake 100%. So if you're not yourself, and you're not your authentic self, like you're get ready, because you don't ever know who's going to be watching, number one. And you don't ever know what, you don't know any of that. So just don't pretend like you know something if you don't fucking know it. Just, you don't know. And don't be that guy, be yourself. People will respect you a lot more for being 100% authentic and 100% genuine than they would for pretending to be something and pretending to be this or that. It's just, I get it. And it's one of those things. And with our platform being, particularly reactions and watching, full shows and full watch alongs, like I see something that's not great. I got to acknowledge it, but I don't have to harp on it. I don't have to beat the dead horse. I don't have to beat the nail in, because I guarantee you the talent that's watching this, or the talent that saw it, knows that they made a mistake, and they've probably been talked to 1,000 times. I don't need to be 1,001. Like I could say, hey,
exactly.
Oh shit, this guy just recovered that quickly. He got the audience back that fast. Well, whatever. There's other ways to getting there, acknowledging that, okay, I don't have to like it. And there has been matches, and there's been, stuff that we've watched that I'm like, no, I'm not going to watch it again. Doesn't mean that it's bad. Doesn't mean that it's terrible. It just means that it's not for me, and it's for somebody else.
That's your flavor ice cream.
Yeah, it's somebody else. Like, you can go watch that. And it's okay for you. I'm not going to shame you for it. You know what I mean? Like, there's too much of that bullshit going on in the world, man. Look, this is the escape from reality.
It's funny you say that, because, like, for instance, I think my biggest case, like somebody getting on there and just kind of like trying to troll and be, overwhelming with their negative opinion. And part of me can understand why in this case they had that opinion, but at the same time, I didn't agree with it, so I spoke vocally. But it was after Hogan died. I loved Hulk Hogan as a kid. I loved him as an adult. What he did outside the ring, that's his business. Even though it was made public, it's his business. But my whole thing was, we was trying to celebrate Hogan. This was, hey, he made a big impact in professional wrestling. You got to celebrate that. It's just what it is. There wouldn't be WWE today without Hulkamania in the 80s. It doesn't exist. It's no different than saying there would be no WWE without Vince. You got to acknowledge that. And just had this guy, and I'm sure I don't have to say what he was saying in the comments. We all can picture what negative things he was throwing out there. But what really hit me was he deserved what he got. And I don't see there being any point in this world where somebody deserves death, except for, certain, crimes that aren't okay. Yeah, and I'm sure you get what I mean there, especially when they pertain to children. Like, those kind of crimes, maybe they shouldn't be here. But Hogan saying what he said, I don't think he deserves to die for it. And me and my state at the time, I flipped on him. I was like, look, bro, you can go somewhere else with that bullshit opinion. And I blocked him and moved him on. I think that's been the only time I've really had somebody come at me out of pocket and I lose it.
Well, it's with Hogan, like I will be perfectly clear. I was a Hulkamaniac when I was a kid. I acknowledge the fact that he has a presence in professional wrestling, and I acknowledge that he has a strong presence for what professional wrestling has become. I do not condone anything that he has done in his private life. I do not condone any of that whatsoever. That's not my place. But I will say that he, is in the ring. He molded professional wrestling. And there's a lot to that. And yes, it's a touchy subject. People will, might get offended or might not. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I can't deny the fact that dude had an impact. But there is way too much hostility and there is way too much negativity.
Yes.
Period. And I think a large part of that social media is just what it is. But that's got nothing to do with your platform. Nothing to do with what we're here to discuss. Exactly. Let's get back on track with what you guys have going on, because things have really picked up. You're a little over a year deep. You are involved with TNA with some media. You're getting some really, really solid interviews and some really good content. For you, it's a pretty big break, man, and pretty big situation. And it has really elevated the platform. So let's talk a little bit about the growth in this first year.
I mean, just starting with TNA, it's really incredible how that all kind of panned out. Because, like I told you off screen, I really don't know how it panned out. I don't know how I got in touch with him. It's kind of like, it was meant to be kind of thing. And TNA has been very impactful as far as giving me the opportunity to speak with their talent. My first interview was with, the current TNA World Champion Mike Santana, and that was right before his Slammiversary. And at the time, everybody believed Santana, that was his night. So that one was very special, and I think it was really cool, especially for that interview alone. Santana's story was kind of special to me because a lot of the focus was around his past and how his daughter helped him get out of that past. And for me, I understand what it's like being the kid who writes the Christmas list, or who goes to the parent and says, "Hey, I think you need to get shit together." So I really resonated. So I think, and in that interview it showed. You could tell once we got into the weeds of things and we made that connection, the conversation shifted. It's like the ice was broken, and it made it really fun. And then after that, I've had AJ Francis on, which that was fun because we sat there and we talked about his career a little bit in TNA, but then it was like he's a former football player, and football and wrestling, they have a very interesting history with football players coming over and doing crossover stuff and stuff like that. So we dove into all that, which I think TNA really liked because honestly, highlighting the NFL on a TNA platform could get more eyes that way because the NFL has such a broad audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kazarian was one that, when I first started doing this, I made a huge list of individuals that I'd like to get past, present, future. Kazarian was on there. Yes, and when I wrote down TNA Originals, Kazarian was on there. That one was so fun. The Hardys. The Hardys hit me really close to home because I'm a huge Jeff Hardy fan. And when I started the podcast, the first 3 people I wrote on that list, and it was like the holy grail in my mind, was the Hardys, CM Punk, and Hulk Hogan. Hogan will never happen. The Hardys happened, and to have it happen less than a year in was insane. I actually recorded the episode a year to the date that my first episode dropped. So it was kind of
talk about a 1 year,
way
brother.
to celebrate. Yes, it was insane. And then I've had Danny Luna on. She's amazing. I can't wait to see what she does in TNA. And then upcoming, we have Eric Young. Eric was another one of those guys on that TNA Originals list that I wrote down. That's a great interview. We really dive into some fun stuff. And he, just from talking to him both before and after, for the brief moment I was allowed to, it seemed like he really enjoyed it. And as far as just the growth of the podcast overall, it's been really crazy because I didn't expect it to take off at all. You do your research on just growth of channels and podcasts, and especially on YouTube. Everywhere it tells you it takes years, 3 to 5 years is of consistent grind before you're even hitting your thousands as far as subscribers and viewers and things like that. To be just over a year in and at just over 32,000 subscribers is insane. And like the only thing I can credit to it is the talent I've been able to get on the show, and the audience who has really embraced the content and, for lack of better words, love the product.
I love to see it, man. I love to see the success that comes in and that's rolling, because to me it's like a motivation, right? Like it's hey, this is where I'm at, and I know where you're at. And I'm like, I know that we can meet, and if we meet in the middle, it's unstoppable. Like it just shows that it's possible. Number one, and that all you got to do is you're gonna do the work and put the work in. I tell people all the time, man, like we talked about on your show, the biggest misconception that I think a lot of people have when it comes to podcasting is that it's as simple as turning on a camera and sitting in front of a microphone. It's not. There's so much more that goes.
I wish
that goes into, like, if you want to really try and do something, right? Like, I mean, for me, I think it's like I'm gonna do this anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like viewers. I like numbers. Like we've got a lot of people watching right now, and I'm very appreciative of them. But if they weren't here right now, we would still be having this conversation, and we would still be, you know what I mean? So it doesn't change anything. It's, for me, it's just kind of like, great. I see that there are some people that are watching. They're into what we're talking about. They're into what we're doing, and that's awesome. Now it's a matter of what can we do to turn that around and put that out there to where it belongs. Like in this case, your podcast, the IWL Pod, because you're doing some really good stuff, and the fact that you're only a year deep is wild, and just insane. To see how far you have come, and it makes me really interested to see what's on the agenda for 2026. So with 2025 being a pretty big year, pretty big standout year, what's on the horizons for 2026? Where would you like to see yourself? Say September 19th, 2026. It's your 2-year anniversary.
It would be. I'd be satisfied. I don't know how to put this. I haven't really thought about it. It's one of those things I've really taken everything one step at a time. Because when I started this, a big thing I noticed, especially when I was pounding in freaking 12 interviews a week, you get lost in just the consistent grind over and over. And a big reason I chose to slow down was so I could enjoy it. So I could just enjoy the process and enjoy the conversations, and to really get to know everybody. Because I realize when you're, hanging out a bunch of interviews back to back to back, you lose the information that you've gained in these conversations, and you lose what you've learned from the interaction. So my biggest thing is I want for 2026, to continue to highlight the top independent stars all over the world, because I've had guys from Australia, England, the US, Canada. I haven't got anybody in Mexico yet, but like I've had them all over the place, and I just want to continue to highlight independent talent while also being able to have big names from your TNAs, former AEW guys, former WWE guys, and bring them in, because what I've noticed is you being able to get a talent like the Hardys on, it brings eyes to your channel, and next thing you know, you're getting eyes on the Chicago indie guys out of just relation, because they're in the same area as far as the platform. So that's my biggest goal, is to continue getting the spotlight on these guys, and then to shine more light on them by getting the top stars on there to help the independent guys, to give them the rub, so to speak. I don't really want to set like, hey, I want to get 100,000 subscribers by the end of 26, because I don't know. Like this year we got 32,000. Next year we could still be at 32,000. I'd be happy. We're doing good. It's a good place. I'm not arguing with it. But would I like to be, upward of 50,000? Sure, because I know as a kid watching YouTube, you always see the guys with the plaques, whether it's the silver one, the gold
Mhm.
one, the platinum one, and I was like, those are badass. Just I want one on my wall, just to say I've done it. So when I started a YouTube channel in general, that was my first and mainly only goal. I want to get to 100,000 subscribers so I can get a plaque, just so I can say I did it. I want to achieve that. So just if I want to shoot for the stars by the end of 26, I would like to have that 100,000 plaque.
Well, I mean, I think you're on the road for sure. I think
Definitely.
that you're you're doing good shit, man. Like it really is positive stuff, and I think that with the direction that professional wrestling is going, as long as there are groups of podcasters out there that have the best intentions, that are not here for ourselves, that we're literally, our platform is to promote whatever you are doing. I'll say this: this morning we watched a show over in the UK. It's from Pro Wrestling Colossus. It was a training show. It was a student show, and they had some talents that were attached to it. But you get the guys that are running that company that pop in on your live stream, and they're like, I really appreciate the fact that you are watching this at 8 a.m. your time. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, but that's like 2 your time. That's prime time for you, midday. If your students are going to tune in and watch it, would they rather tune in midday or would they rather tune in late evening? Because I would rather do something midday, because your students are the ones that are going to get off on it. You got kids guys from the States watching your stuff, and having a good time watching it too. Like, that's the other piece of it. And as long as if we don't ever lose focus of that, I don't think it will stop people like you. It won't stop people like me, because I think we're built to succeed. It's just a matter of,
Yes.
how do we get there? What's the road that you take to get there? And for us, it's more of that organic style, and just what will be will be. And I think that's a beautiful thing. We really connected the first go around when I was on your show, and I knew that when we would sit down and chat again, that it was just going to be great. Let's talk a little bit about the scene right now, the wrestling scene, the biggest. And then we'll get a little bit more about the platform. John Cena's tournament is underway, and
Mm-hmm.
this is obviously it's a talking point for sure. Who's everybody's fantasy booking it. I personally am going with what I have read for months and months and months, and that it's probably going to be Gunther who does get that final match with him. You think that there's from your side of the equation, who do you think pulls this tournament? And do you have any takes on who these surprise entrants to this thing may be?
So, I mean, just if we're going off of what we've read, Dominic or Gunther is where it's most likely to go. If I was on a fantasy book a little bit, if I wanted to put some guys in there, I think you could throw out a great case for like somebody like a Matt Cardona or a Joe Henry, or just somebody from, like, for instance, Matt has a large history with Cena.
Mhm.
Matt's done a lot of work. He's made his appearance in NXT. And I think it'd be a shock. Joe Henry said, "Hey, I want this match before the end of Cena's retirement. I want this." I think with Joe specifically, if you're looking for a way, because it seems like Joe himself is on his way to becoming to WWE for sure.
Mhm.
So it'd be a way. I mean, that's an instant impact. Imagine if Joe Henry beats John Cena December 13th. He's a main event right off the bat. You strap the rocket right to his ass, and he's going to the moon. But let's say just who I really want to see as Cena's last opponent, with just taking everything out of the equation. Um, Honestly, I think it'd be really cool to see Jericho do it. I think Jericho's one that a lot of people aren't thinking of. And I don't think people realize the amount of history him and Cena have. And I mean, going as far back as the reason Jericho left Raw, I think it was in 05, was because Cena beat him and sent him away. So like, that's good history. It writes itself. And if you're bringing Jericho back, for instance, that's another good way. And that's also a way you could have Cena. Everybody's saying Cena's got to go out on his back. If you do it against Jericho, Cena don't have to go out on his back. He can win. He can have his celebration. Everybody can come out. You can get the balloons, the confetti. It ends on a good note. But if you put him against a Gunther or a Dom or a Braun Breaker, I mean, either a Joe Hendry, you got to assume at that point Cena's not walking out victorious. He's going to leave. I mean, obviously you're going to get the celebration afterwards because it's Cena's last match, but it's not. It's going to be different, if that makes sense.
Sure. Over in chat, throw down with Matt on YouTube. Surprise entrance, possibly Joe Hendry, but would love to see Copeland. Highly unlikely. Hugely unlikely is what he said. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I don't know about Jericho either, but I do like the tie-in to the earlier run. I looked at Jericho as like the first guy that cemented John Cena as a main event player, because like when he won the championship,
Yes.
he no knock on JBL by any means. Big JBL, but I didn't see JBL as a. He wasn't he wasn't that top name champion in my eyes as far as the lineage of champions are concerned. Was he good? Absolutely. Did he get there? Sure, but it just wasn't that it factor, if you will. But as later years have gone, Jericho has only added to his resume of accomplishments and things, so it makes it like that much more impressive, even just to look back on it now and be like, now you're onto something there. And I don't know, man. The rumor mill's turning that Jericho may have signed with the WWE. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. I don't fucking know. I do think that something is going on somewhere, and I do think that there's a way to utilize this tournament. I think overall the 16 people who are taking part in it are going to get something out of it. The fact that they're involved and in the conversation to having Cena's last match should account for something. What say you?
It has to count for something. I mean, it's got to. I think all 16 individuals in this tournament, their stock automatically rises just by being in the tournament. And as we see the tournament progress, I think we're really going to see who WWE has their faith in going forward, especially into 26. And like, I think it could be a good platform for you to have guys, even like, let's say, an Obafemi or a Trick Williams, to come up and maybe be a part of this tournament. And maybe they don't have to win. I mean, it'd be cool to see those matches, but maybe they don't have to win. But they could highlight themselves as, hey, this is what's next. This is the future of WWE. And I think this is a perfect way to do that. I think a lot of people right now, I've seen a lot of like online discourse about like WWE's main event scene right now is a lot older. Like if you look compared to previous years, I think I saw like they took like the top 15 names from now and the top 15 names from the 2000s, and like there's a 13-year age average difference. And like nowadays main eventers are in their 40s. Then main eventers were in their 30s. And I think this tournament could be the one thing that shows us the future is a lot younger than people are assuming. Because especially when you put guys like, Dominic in there, or Obafemi, who's a younger guy, Trick Williams, who's a younger guy. I know Joe's been on the Indies a while. He's in his like mid-30s, but he's still a younger guy. Like, I think it could be a good way to get newer guys in, mix them with the top guys now, and grow the product as a whole.
One name comes to mind: Javon Evans. When you talk about younger generation, that just to get the rub of being in the tournament, he's one name that comes to mind. No, he can go out in the first round.
Or an underdog win in the first round, loses in the second, just for shock value.
Put him in there against Gunther in first round. Giant cruiserweight, he'll have those hope spots. You don't expect him to defeat Gunther to begin with.
I
but
like it.
he's gonna have those hope spots. He's gonna get that spotlight. I mean, it's just an opportunity, right? Like, I mean, of course, this is all armchair quarterbacking, but there's so much stuff that they could do here. And I like the idea of using the tournament as a a tool to drive to the younger generation as to this is what's coming next.
Like, I can see, speaking of like Javon Evans, like you brought up Gunther. What if Javon Evans fought Dominic Mysterio?
Mm-hmm.
Like Javon Evans looks like he's gonna win, and Dominic Mysterio steals it because that's what Dom does. It's just perfect. There's so many ways you could put guys like a Javon Evans or a Trick in, and just make it work, and they don't have to win it, but just the highlight would be. I think that should be the main focus of this tournament is to highlight young people, younger talent.
I agree, man. I think it's going to be fun stuff. I think that the world of professional wrestling is only heating up, and for guys like us who watch a lot of wrestling and a lot. I mean, we're 30 plus on this stream or on this channel a week anyway. It's wild, and I think that it's all going nowhere but up, and I think it starts on the indie scene all the way up through the main rosters. Is there? Here's the question. Let me go back to chat. Goth had asked this earlier, and I feel like I know the answer, and I didn't ask it earlier because I feel like I already have it, but I am going to ask it for the sake of. He did ask earlier on the show, like, you've had a lot of conversations with independent guys. You've had conversations with a lot of guys with TNA. Do you have a favorite conversation? Number one, and if you do, who is it? It's like the worst question that you'd ever ask a fucking podcaster, by the way, Goth. I'm just telling you.
It's really tough because there's a lot of conversations. I mean, personally, I'm gonna throw out a couple just because it's hard to narrow it down. One early on that was really fun for me and it was a great conversation, but it was also a risk. It was Marty Skrull. I had Marty on, and it was one a lot of people told me no, don't do that. But then I'm a huge Bullet Club fan. I'm a huge Marty Skrull fan, and like just looking at the overall aspect of the situation surrounding Marty, I thought maybe this might be one of those guys that was involved with the situation that might deserve a second chance. And the conversation was great, and we didn't get into any controversies. And he's been succeeding since. So that was one that, like, right off the bat was a great conversation. EC3 really shocked me because it wasn't necessarily the conversation we had on screen, but the conversation we had before and after really helped me develop myself as a just for lack of better words, maybe on-screen persona, like understanding who I am as a podcaster. I don't think I'd be where I'm at without the conversation I had with EC3. Just personal favorite, just because I mean it was on my holy grail list. I got to put the Hardy conversation on there, and I got a lot of great feedback because I mean if you look at a lot of the Hardys interviews from the past couple of years, you watch those and Matt does a lot of the talking. I was able, I don't know how, but to get Jeff into the conversation. And a lot of guys messaged me and was like, hey, like, how the hell did you, manage? Like, because Jeff normally, like, unless a question's directly like, hey, Jeff, I want to ask you this, usually Matt answers it. Jeff might be like, yeah, I agree. And then they move on. Somehow I got Jeff to, I sparked something there. It was cool. And that was probably like my personal favorite. And honestly speaking, just to throw another one out there, my upcoming episode with Eric Young might be the most organic conversation I've had in a 20-minute time period or 17 minutes or however long the interview is, just because going into these, I do preparation. I write down questions that I might want to ask. That completely went out the window talking to Eric because we just started flowing. And that was something like doing TNA. I want to be very specific about what's going on because I don't want to give the wrong impression. So, like, for me, it just felt like to have that organic conversation, especially with somebody in TNA, with that pressure, that added pressure of being under the TNA, banner, was really special to me. And I think afterwards I got some feedback from media and guys within TNA, and they was like, look, that was good. So I think all those together, those are my list of best podcasts, I had to say. And I mean, there's more. I could throw out Rhino or Sabu, or I've had a lot of good names on here, but those are the ones that come off the top of the head.
Please tell me you asked Eric Young about Vinyl Obsessions.
No,
that was his.
I actually did not.
Yeah, that was his show. I forget
not.
what fucking network it was on. I'm a vinyl guy, and I was watching it for the longest time, and I would always said if I ever got an opportunity, I would just it wouldn't even be a wrestling fucking question. I'd be like, tell me the oldest album you've ever held in your fucking hand. That's what I want to know from Eric Young, because I think that would be dope. I just really do, because that dude he's great.
He's so cool, man. He's so down to earth. It was great. I don't even know how to explain. And we dive into like the history of AJ. We really get into the weeds about his relationship with Steve Macklin, because I mean they had that dog collar match, but their history goes all the way back to like 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, just being able to watch him, like watch Macklin grow, and just seeing where TNA's at, like it's such a good conversation.
Yeah, I can't.
And,
I'm
like,
literally.
it's so organic.
I'm looking
It's
for
so organic, and I love it.
When is that one dropping?
I'm terrible with dates. We'll look it up since we have.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
I believe it's the 13th.
Okay, so we're within like a
November
week or
13th.
so we'll be checking that out, and
Yes.
you guys need to check that out as well over at ILW Pod.
November 13th.
Jimmy Jacobs is mentioned in chat by your dad.
Jimmy Jacobs was that one. Look, that one was really special because I did never like Jimmy. He has social medias, but like from talking to a lot of the independent guys that's had him, they've told me like, hey, Jimmy don't use a phone. Jimmy doesn't he's not as socially active as a lot of us. So like getting a hold of Jimmy's not easy because he's not going to respond through social media and things like that. Luckily, down the pipeline, getting to know people, I found his email and I got him on. And Jimmy was fun because I think it was one of the first interviews we got true emotion and just true, authentic him. And Jimmy leaves nothing out. He gets deep into his opinion on the Briscoes and kind of, I mean, for lack of a better term, maybe the miscarriage of justice, that was Jay Briscoe's career because Jay was held back from something he said 13, 14 years ago now. And after he died, everybody's like, well, why didn't the Briscoes get to make it on AEW TV? And it's because, well, you fans who are now asking why he didn't get to make it made such a big deal about him saying something, years ago. And like Jimmy really gets into it and he really gets emotional. And it wasn't in a bad way. It was just in a, hey, I think this needs to be said. And I couldn't agree with you more. I was like, I think more people should say these things because Jimmy just was freely open speaking in the things that I think we all feel, but sometimes, especially when it comes on the internet, you're hesitant to put out there because of the backlash that might happen with it, if that makes sense.
Sure, absolutely. Man, this has been a great conversation to sit back down and circle back around with you on. And I know that this is really just the beginning of what our relationship will turn into over the next several years, because there's a lot that is brewing. There's a lot of things happening. There's always going to be a lot of moving parts. I do want to say this, I always, when I get ready to wind these down, I always turn the floor over to the guests, to my guys, my girls that come in and chat with me. What do you want to talk about? What is on your mind, or what do you want to tell our audience?
Well, actually, seems like we got the platform here. I guess to you more than anybody, I like the collaborative effort that since our first conversation we've had, and since that I've been reaching out to more podcasts and to do a collaborative effort. Like you mentioned earlier, the more of us out there with the same mind frame of having a positive impact on this community, maybe not maybe, but definitely the better it'll be on the other side. I think more than anything, us as fans, us as podcasters, us as individuals, just try to remain positive and just enjoy professional wrestling. I don't think there's a place in here for hostility or tribalism or hate. Like, I mean, I say it all the time jokingly, but we are a bunch of grown men and women watching other grown men and women roll around with each other in their underwear. There's no room for hate there, man. Like, we're already watching such a silly concept if you think about it and put it on paper. So there's no room for us to sit here and argue about it. Like, we can have an opinion. I can, you might really love NWA in 1980. I might really love, WWE in 2005. And then my little brother might really like, WWE in 2019. Which, I mean, we can all look at it and be like, why do you like that? But it's his opinion. I can't hate him for it. I can't dog him for it. And it's the same with, like, fans watching WWE and then saying, hey, just because you watch WWE, you can't watch AEW. No, that's bullshit. Like, just enjoy professional wrestling. Because, I mean, there's so much other stuff going on in the world. Like, I live in Chicago. There's all the chaos. Well, I don't live in Chicago. I live right outside Chicago, but there's all the chaos going on inside that city. Why, when I'm on here, or when I'm on my live stream, or why am I on my interview, why do I want more hostility? Take the audience away from the craziness that is this world and let them just enjoy the product of wrestling.
I cannot agree more. Over in chat, Matt said, a rising tide lifts all ships. Having a great group of y'all to collaborate with that we trust and enjoy the company of is the coolest thing in the world. And your dad says, I pray that the two platforms get to collaborate much more than this. Was an awesome conversation. I can assure you, for those out there who are wanting to hear some more collaborative efforts between CCP Podcasting and the ILW Pod, and probably more than likely Throwdown with Matt Pods, I don't think that you're going to have to worry too much, because there's a lot of things that I'm working on right now, and there's a lot of things that Justin is working on. There are also things that Matt is working on within our own platforms. And I'm telling you, there will come a time when all of these superpowers come together like the Avengers, and we form this fucking monster of a powerhouse of a conglomerate. And with your bits and pieces, with Matt's bits and pieces, with my bits and pieces, that we are going to change the landscape. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. There's a lot of things that I am very positive and have a positive mindset about, and this platform, and those that I have come across that do have their heart in the right place and have the intentions in the right place, that I will more than 1,000% work with whenever the opportunity arises. And you guys are one of them, man. I can't wait to see what the growth looks like for 2025, or 2026 for you. Because 2025 was fantastic. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get bigger. And you're definitely doing some good stuff. So guys, gals, for all of you who have been watching, if you've been tuning in on Twitch, if you've been watching on X, or if you're even chilling over on YouTube, it's been on the screen the entire show. Please head on over to ILW Pod 2024 over on Instagram. Smash that follow button. That will get you to their YouTube, where you too can check out the Hardy interview. You can check out what's coming up with EY Eric Young. You can check out what's going on the independent scene in Chicago with the talents that they've had coming in and going there. Their live streams, everything will direct you right where you need to go. Do your part. Like, share, and subscribe. Justin, buddy, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, for everybody, for Mr. Justin Woolwine, I am Chris Page, and we will see you next time.